everyone, welcome to day 8 of 100 Days of Code with Chimde Summer. Let's go. So after completing the Make Card Flutter app, I was ready to go on to the next section. And the next section was about creating a dice app and adding gesture detection to a button. So basically, we're going to be creating an app that has two dice images, and whenever we click on that images, it changes the face of that dice to another face. So the first thing that I needed to do was that I needed to add my image. So I needed to add two images of two different faces of the dice, and I used what we call the expanded widget. So the expanded widget allows us to evenly space an image across the horizontal axis. So I did that, and it was taking as much space as needed. Then the next step was to center the container that holds that image so that obviously the image is at the center of the app. I went on to start adding the padding to both images. So at first I was adding the padding to the container and to the row, but I realized that it was not giving me space in between the image. So I actually went back to the course because Angela gave that as a challenge and I couldn't do it. So I went back to the course and then she told us that we're supposed to add the padding to the image. I didn't know how I didn't think of that, but I eventually did that and I ran my app and the space, the padding was at the center of both images. The next thing that I needed to do was to add a flat button to both images. So while adding the flat button, because I actually want to add the functionality so that whenever I click on that button, then it changes the face of the dice. But I realized that the flat button didn't seem to exist anymore in the Flutter app. So I tried using the flat button and I was just getting errors. So I went to Google and I discovered that it seems like Flutter had completely scraped out the flat button, leaving only the elevation button and other kinds of button. So I decided to use the elevation button instead. So using the elevation button kind of gave me this dark shadow around the images. I didn't know how to get rid of that, so I just kind of continued with it because I've discovered that it was actually going to give me the same results as the flat button, but I think the elevation button was going to give it a shadow and I didn't know how to get rid of the shadow, so I just left it as that. Then lastly, we wanted to now add the functionality of that button. So I learned about the on press, and then whenever I click on the button, so it simply just runs a print line of code. So basically it's just going to print Jane loves Bakugo because obviously I love Bakugo. So whenever I click on the button in my Dart analysis, I can see that the print line that says Jane loves Bakugo comes up. So I did that for both buttons. And I guess that brings me to the end of the 8 of 100 Days of Code with Shimriji and Samuel. I'm so glad that I'm doing a new project because actually the me card was a bit boring. But I'm so glad to be able to do this now. And I think in the next one I'm going to finally start learning about that. And I'm actually excited about that. So and lastly, don't forget to follow my Twitter at Jane Loves Coding. I'm very frequent there in tech. And you can follow my Instagram at Chimdijen Summer, follow my TikTok at Chimdijen Summer. I post a lot of videos concerning the other parts of my life that I really want to be consistent in, and also my self-discipline journey. So I post a lot there. And also you can email me for any important discussion that you don't want us to talk about on social media as jensamuel308 at gmail.com. And I guess that's it. See you at the 9.